Terraria's amount of content is quite a lot. It's fairly simple to miss out on certain items or lose track of what to do and what to prepare before hard mode. With this checklist we will cover all the important to-dos and must-haves, whether that is infrastructure, items, farms and more. This checklist will help us smoothly moving into hard mode. So without further ado, let's take a look at the checklist. First and foremost, we want the most useful items from all pre-hard mode bosses and make sure we don't miss out on them. In general, every boss provides useful items depending on your class and goals. We take a look at all bosses and mentionable items that are useful even in late hard mode or exceed at tackling the wall of flesh. We start with King Slime to get the slime saddle, which is really good to increase our fall speed and works well for dodging projectiles or bosses. The Eye of Cthulhu drops an item with a dash, which is undeniably one of the best items overall right from the bat. The Shield of Cthulhu is an Expert Plus item and on higher difficulty it is almost a must-have. Our beloved Queen Bee will have the first flying mount, but more importantly bee nades, which are incredibly useful for the Wall of Flash. She's also required for the Zenith and provides overall good items across all classes. The Brain of Cthulhu drops tissue samples, but nothing really useful for the late game. Or, if you play Corruption, the Eater of Worlds drops shadow scales instead. They are used in many important crafting recipes. Skeletron, on the other hand, has no item that is useful throughout the game really, but he is required to enter the dungeon nonetheless. Optionally, we can farm the Deerclops for a funny speaking wood axe that is equally fast to an endgame axe, so it's obviously the fastest one in pre-hard mode we can get our hands on. And with that, all bosses for pre-hard mode are checked, which brings us to the next point. One of the most important things to manage is the base. We want our base organized, because hard mode will become chaotic enough. A comfortable layout for the crafting stations, labeled, named or painted chest and buff stations. Make sure to build a greenhouse somewhere for herbs and prepare a chest with useful potions such as Spelunker potions and other utility and battle potions. Moving on, we want a good infrastructure. We achieve this with a pylon distribution over the map. For this, build and prepare NPC houses in different biomes. And eventually add a shroom biome, which can also be used for a mushroom farm. To get pylons, make sure you have a reasonable amount of NPCs or all of them, including slimes and pets if you're into it. The Goblin Tinker and Mechanic are my recommendations to seek out for as soon as possible. Additionally, make sure to build a elevator as part of your infrastructure by digging straight to hell and placing ropes or chains all the way down. With a base and infrastructure settled, farms are always a good option and it makes sense to prepare them as long the world is at peace. There's numerous farms we can build. In any way, it's useful to clear out a big space underground, around 170 by 100, to maximize the spawn rate and use it for mob farms. A simple pyramid-like farm is an all-time classic and still does a wonderful job. This is useful throughout the whole game and can be improved later with traps from the temple. An ocean farm might be useful for shark fins and other items from sea life. But if you really want a comfortable hard mode start, prepare safe spots for fishing in different biomes. Or, if you're willing to put in a bit more effort, make a fishing farm to combine them all in one place. It's not a bad idea to prepare also baits, fishing gear, then sonar, fishing and crate potions to grind hard mode ores right after entering it. Additionally to those farms, a gemstone farm for coins is quickly made. I recommend the ether biome as it doesn't need much work and also serves as a good spot for the cavern pylon. Farms aside, we not just want to grind mobs and fish, but also bosses. An arena is one of the best additions to your world. I recommend to watch my arena tutorial after this video for some guidance. Anyway, not just one arena but multiple may be a good idea. I recommend to prepare one close to your base, but not too close, otherwise bosses may shred your NPCs. If you have a jungle close by, that may be a good spot to include the Queen Bee too. Eventually dig out a room for Plantera. I don't really think platforms are necessary, as it might be easier just with wings, so a big space might be enough. However, close by we might prepare rows of mud blocks with jungle grass for heart flowers and Plantera bulbs to grow later on. And as we might farm the dungeon a lot on hard mode, now is a good opportunity to do something similar and dig some space to have a grinding spot later. And when we are already in the dungeon, we make sure to mark all biome chests with torches to open them once we are able in hard mode. With important spots marked, points of interest like Sky Islands or the temple are also handy to find beforehand, to reach them as soon as you need them. Speaking of world preparation, it might be useful to contain evil biomes by digging around them. It can be a lot of work, but will make hard mode much more carefree when it comes to corruption and crimson spread. Although you can alternatively isolate your base and builds instead of the evil biomes to deal more easily with the hello spread in hard mode. Last but not least, our character should be up to date. Max your stats with 400 life and 200 mana and get your desired armor. If you are unsure about this, a solid choice is always the Hellstone armor and eventually weapons too. The Molten armor provides good overall stats and is crafted with obsidian and hellstone. Apart from combat items like the Aang shield, more important is the preparation for Terra Spike boots and the shell phone. The boots and phone have decent crafting trees and requirements that will keep you busy for the most of Pre-Hardmode. In fact, the crafting trees are so big that they contribute to Terraria being iconic for its extensive crafting system. And we are also able to get our character the Grand Design, crafted at a Tinker Station with items from the mechanic, if you are into engineering or removing traps in the temple. And for additional and mobile storage, we can craft a Void Bag after the Brain of Cthulhu or Eater of Worlds have been defeated, and a Money Through from the Dribbler at the Blood Moon. And with this, we are good to go to prepare our arena for the Wall of Flesh. There's two easy ways of doing so. The first is the all-time classic, a straight line through hell to kite the Wall of Flesh. Alternatively, you can just use obsidian and water walk potions or boots to use the lava as your arena and pass on placing hundreds of blocks. With all those things done, we are pretty good to move into hard mode. If you want to get my channel out of hard mode, however, it really helps if you leave a subscribe, share and comment here to help the algorithm get going. And by that, thanks for watching, stay healthy and see you next time.